If your organization feels chaotic, it's not just frustrating, it's expensive. And most executives are underestimating the cost. I want to give you a concept that changes the way executives see chaos. Because chaos isn't just disorganization. It's not just a culture problem. It's not just a leadership style issue. And it's certainly not woo-woo stuff. It's a financial leak inside your operating system. And I call that leak chaos bleed. If you can't quantify the bleed, you won't fix it. You'll keep reacting to symptoms while the margin leaks out of the organization. In this video, I'll show you what chaos bleed is, what drives it, and how we calculate it inside the Org Friction Audit. Chaos bleed does not show up as a line item on your balance sheet. It hides in plain sight. It hides in rework, in meeting bloat, in delays, in decisions that take weeks instead of minutes. It also hides in attrition, because when an organization is chaotic long enough, your best people stop believing it'll get better and they just leave. Then you pay for the chaos twice. I've worked with organizations where executives were convinced that the problem was accountability or performance. But once we quantified the chaos bleed, the truth became obvious. People weren't underperforming. They were performing in a broken system that was leaking value and had a broken revenue pipeline. This is why predictable performance isn't based on motivation or good vibes alone. It's engineering. Let's put this on the board. All right, so here we go. Chaos bleed. This is the hidden tax your organization pays when operational friction becomes normal. So let's draw a revenue pipeline here. So this is your revenue pipeline. Resources go in one end. So you've got people, money, and time. Resources go in one line, and value comes out the other. So this is, customer outcomes, customer delivery, growth, and margin. The executive goal is simple here. Max throughput. You want minimal waste as the resources go in. You want maximum throughput, and as much of the energy going in one side comes out the other side. In an ideal world, this pipeline has no leaks, so value flows cleanly, but that isn't necessarily reality. We've got some friction leakage happening at the top. So you've got rework, friction leakage, maybe you've got some delays coming out, you've got decision drag, and everybody knows the meeting bloat issue that happens in organizations. So you've got all these leaks coming out the top based on organizational friction. This is what happens when work doesn't convert cleanly into outcomes. And it's not because your people don't care, it's because the system creates this drag and creates these leaks with all of these delays and bloat and things like that. This is the organization where people work nights and weekends, but output still doesn't match the effort, or the organization where people will do whatever they can to avoid elevating a decision up the chain, because that's where momentum goes to die. This gap, this friction leakage, isn't a culture gap, it's a systems gap. So then we also have a second kind of bleed, which is attrition costs. So this bleed happens from the revenue pipeline as well. This is secondary damage. Chaos pushes people out and you pay for it again. So this is recruiting and replacement, it's ramp up time, it's lost institutional knowledge. And this, having to post a new job isn't the problem. It's the lost momentum and the leadership bandwidth it consumes that's the real problem. Executives love to treat attrition like an HR problem, but in chaotic organizations, attrition is often an operating systems problem. Now, here's what multiplies the bleed. The first multiplier is leadership stability. So if we add a valve into the system here, this is leadership stability. Stable leadership creates consistent signals, and churn creates noise. So if you have leadership stability issues, this valve here gets closed and it tightens down on the revenue pipeline. It sends a shock through the ecosystem, so it reduces throughput. The second multiplier is pathology severity. So we'll add another valve down here at this end. This valve is chaos state severity. Whether you're in total chaos, hamster wheel, missed opportunities, flow state, the deeper the pathology, the more expensive the same friction becomes. So again, it reduces the throughput. Two organizations can have the same revenue and headcount, but completely different bleed rates. And it's because their operating systems are different. And this is why we built the Org Friction Audit, because you don't fix what you can't name, and you can't name what you can't see. So the audit asks for some real business inputs. We've got our Org Friction Audit here, and we're trying to quantify how much the throughput is reduced in your organization. We'll ask you for annual revenue. We'll ask you for full-time employees. We'll ask you for your EBITDA margin or EBITDA margin and your voluntary attrition rate. These are all indicators that will help us define your throughput here. Then the last thing we'll ask is just a level of stability for your leadership. How much churn do you have in your leadership ranks? Are you losing people a lot, or have you had the same people in the role forever? And then the other thing it'll determine is the pathology stage or the org chaos stage, and that will be determined by you answering a few questions in the audit prior to getting to the calculator. So these are the inputs that you create. And then the outputs for the chaos bleed are just ranges. It gives you three numbers. The first number is annual performance leakage. This is how much this throughput has been reduced as a dollar range in a year. The second number is leakage per employee. We use the full-time employee number that you input to estimate per employee a dollar range in terms of how much individual productivity is lost per person in the organization because of these leakages and multipliers. And then the third is a recoverable upside range in 12 months. This is if you were to fix some of these leaks, open up some of these valves to reduce the multipliers and focus on this for 12 months, what your recoverable upside could be. These are your outputs. This is how you turn something feels off, but I'm not sure what it is, into an estimate you can actually act on. Now it's your turn. Pick a division or a department and ask yourself these questions. Where are you losing time repeatedly? Not once, but repeatedly. And then pick a metric to watch for the next 30 days. You could choose something like decision cycle time, backlog growth, missed deadlines, voluntary attrition, customer escalations, whatever makes sense for the answer to this question for you. And if you want to take the fast way and you want to actually get these outputs, you can take the Org Friction Audit, link below. It'll quantify the bleed and point you to where you can focus on first. Chaos isn't just messy, it can be measurable. And once you can measure it, you can lead differently. I'll see you in the next one.